Let's begin by offering our respects to the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostu Gaurandi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhani Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpataruvyaschа Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, so we would like to welcome. We have with us Sandra, Divya, Ranjit, Aja, Ayush, Disha Milwani, Kalpana, Anjali, Khushbu, Jagriti, Lal and Mehak Milwani, Bhumika, Manju. We have NC Venkatchari, Neelam, Ninad Mehta, Auntie Nisha, Pavani, Saket. Then my parents are there. I can see Ritu Lalwani, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Auntie Neeta, and Venkatesh Prabhu. Okay. So, what did we see in the previous class?
Yoga.
Karma Yoga. Okay. So, what did we see in Karma Yoga?
So do the prescribed duty, no? Is
Yes,
not
Krishna is recommending that you do your prescribed duties.
It is better than doing nothing.
Aha. Right. Why? Because the mind has to be engaged. Yes. Very nice. So let's just recap quickly. The chapter begins with Arjuna asking, what do you want me to do? Please tell me decisively. because I am bewildered by your equivocal instructions. So Arjuna wants to know, what do you want me to do? Jnana yoga or you want me to do karma yoga? So Krishna says that I have already explained this to you. In the previous chapter, Krishna has already explained. He has already given the answer to this question, because Krishna already said that you do both. How? You do karma yoga, but with jnana. You do your duty, but with the knowledge that you are not the body, you are spirit soul. So that is work with renunciation. Because in Arjuna's mind, these are two different things, but Krishna is saying you do both. You bring both together, bring jnana and karma together. This is Krishna's solution to this problem. Why? Because then Krishna says that by merely abstaining from work, you cannot achieve freedom from reaction. Why? Because Krishna is saying that we are all forced to act according to our nature. Each one of us has a certain nature, and according to the nature we have acquired, we have to work. We are forced to work. We cannot refrain from doing something even for a moment. Even if we are just sitting and breathing also, we are breathing, and by our breathing we are getting some reaction, isn't it? So there is no question of not doing anything at all. And Krishna warns against taking premature renunciation, because Krishna is saying, if you restrain your senses, but still your mind is dwelling on sense objects, then you are a pretender. Then he says you're a mithyachari. So he's warning against premature renunciation. One should take renunciation only when one is 100% sure that you can fill in your day with devotional activities. Pack your day with devotional activities. Suppose somebody decides that I want to take renunciation. He leaves home, leaves work, he leaves family, he goes to the forest. But then what is he going to do for 24 hours? He will chant for 2 hours, maybe engage in some reading for 2 hours. After that, what? After that, what's going to happen? Again, are we going to, again, is he going to spend time watching movies, watching cricket matches? So then what? The mind is still dwelling on sense objects. So Krishna is warning against premature renunciation. And then he's saying a person is far superior if he begins karma yoga without attachment. So this person is far superior than one who has taken premature renunciation. Because a person who takes premature renunciation, a pretender, is going to cause disturbance to the society, and it's also not good for him, because then old habits will come back and he would want to go back to doing what he was doing before. So therefore, Krishna is saying, perform a prescribed duty. That is better than not working. And then he gives a reason that for your physical maintenance also, you need to work. Now see, in 8, Krishna says, perform your prescribed duty. But in 9, what is he saying? He's saying, perform your prescribed duty for his satisfaction. So now Krishna has taken it a level higher. From 8 to 9, he goes a level higher and he says, do your prescribed duties, but for the satisfaction of the Lord. Because when you do something for the satisfaction of the Lord, then there is no reaction. See, he says, that way you will remain free from bondage. Then in 10 onwards, Krishna is talking about how when he sent forth men and demigods, he also sent the system of how the requirements or the needs of the living entities will be taken care of. Just as how parents, when they have children, they take care of the needs of the child, no? Education, food, shelter, clothing, everything else. So like that, even the Lord has taken care of our necessities. How? By the sacrifices. Here we have discussed the recommended sacrifices for each yuga. What are the recommended sacrifices for each yuga? Who remembers?
Yeah.
What is the recommended sacrifice for Satya?
For Satya Yuga, it is silent meditation. Treta
Yes.
Yuga is for the fire sacrifice. Dwapar Yuga is the deity worship.
Yes.
And the Kali Yuga is the Harinam Sankirtan.
Yes, fantastic. Very nice.
This is the one solution for all problems.
Yes, very nice. So we discussed how every yuga has its yuga dharma, and we discussed how it's difficult in Kali Yuga to follow the other 3 practices. Yes, it is followed to some extent even in Kali Yuga, but if you want to perfect it, it's not going to be possible in one lifetime. If you want to go back home, back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime itself, then we have to take up the recommended process for Kali Yuga. And we also saw Shastric evidence for the same in our previous class. Okay, then Krishna is talking about the system of cosmic cooperation, how the demigods are pleased by the sacrifices, and then they will provide us the various necessities of life. Then we discussed how we are indebted to 5 categories of people. Who are the 5 categories of people whom we are indebted to? Who remembers?
The public in general,
The people in general, yes.
the forefathers,
The forefathers.
the human beings, the other human beings,
No, that is the general public. That comes under that only.
uh, the sages,
The sages,
the demigods,
the demigods.
and all living entities.
The other living entities. So we are all indebted to these 5 categories, right? And how are we going to repay the debts of these categories? How do we repay the demigods, the devatas?
By offering them the ghee lamps,
Ghee lamps? Offering
offering ghee
ghee
lamps.
in the yagyas, in the
Yagyas,
fire. When we do fire
sorry.
yagyas, then
Yeah.
ghee is, yeah. Then how do we repay the debt to the sages?
Studying the Vedas,
By studying the Vedas, and the debt of the forefathers by
by doing the Pitra Yagya,
Pitra Yagya. Okay. And then
the,
how do we?
the all living entities, offering and sharing one's meals, like
Yes,
the pigeons, the cows, and the birds, like the crows.
yes,
Then the human beings offering to men in the form of, the human beings, that is receiving the guests and them properly and feeding them.
yes, perfect, very nice. And what are the 5 slaughterhouses every grihastha has, we discussed?
The pestle and the mortar, the broom, the water vessel, the heart, and the grinding stone.
Yes. So each one of us, every grihastha has these 5 slaughterhouses. Now, then Krishna explains the importance of offering our food. Yes, Krishna says that those who eat food for your own personal sense enjoyment, they are verily eating only. Krishna is not talking about vegetarian food or vegan food. He is saying that if you do not offer the food and you're preparing the food only for yourself, for your personal sense enjoyment, just to satisfy your own taste buds, then you are eating only sin. So what kind of food is sin free? Only that food which is first offered. Only that is karma free. Then Krishna talks about the cycle of sacrifice. What is the cycle of sacrifice? He's saying that we all subsist on food grains. The grains come from rains. Where are these rains come? How are these rains coming? By the performance of yagyas. Because when we do yagyas, we please the devatas. We please Indra, who is the god of rain. And he sends rain. Rain is very, very important that for the nice growth of the crops. If it should rain at the right time, in the right quantity. If there is more rain or less rain, then there is havoc. So for us to get proper food, it's very important that it rains in the right quantity at the right time. Srila Prabhupada said that if it rains at night and in the day the sun is out, then the land will be very, very fertile. So that is ideal, when there is rain in the night and in the morning the sun is out. So these yagyas, we know about these yagyas because these yagyas are our prescribed duties. Now, how do we know what are our prescribed duties from the Vedas? The Vedas are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So like this, Krishna talks about the cycle of sacrifice in Shloka 14 and 15. And then Krishna says that one who does not follow this cycle of sacrifice is living in vain. He's living a life full of sin, because as human beings, we are supposed to engage in, in this activity, these yagyas. Now, in 17 onwards, which we are going to see today, Krishna is going to explain if there is anyone who's exempt from this duty. Is there anyone who does not have to do this? That we are going to see in today's class. Who can read today?
Can I read?
Yes. Was that Shri Hari Radha Mataji?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Let's go to our...
Krishna. Wait.
So this section is called, this section we titled it as Nishkama Karma to set correct example. So Krishna is saying, even if you are self-realized soul, still practice karma yoga to set the example. We'll see the details when we get to these shlokas.
यस्मात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of the self-realization, one who is satisfied in the self alone, only fully satisfied, for him there is no duty. Hare Krishna.
So here Krishna is explaining who is exempt from doing the prescribed duties. Who is exempt? Krishna is saying that one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization. So a self-realized soul, one who is already purified, one who is internally satisfied, pleasure in the self, one who is internally satisfied, one who is already self-realized, then for him there is no duty. So one does not have to do his prescribed duty if you are a fully self-realized soul. Why? Because the reason one does these prescribed duties is for purification. But if one is already purified, one is already self-realized, then for him one does not have to do these duties. So for a self-realized soul is exempt from doing his prescribed duties, Krishna is saying here.
Mataji, what is self-realized soul?
Self-realized soul is one who is 100% surrendered to the Lord, one who is 100% pure, one who has zero material desires, one who has the only desire of I want to please Krishna. That's his only desire. That's his only prayer. That is a self-realized soul, fully self-realized, a pure devotee. Okay. See, there are some Shastric evidences as well here.
Chaitanya Madhya 22:1.40 Kamaya Tyaji Krishna Bhaje Shastra Agna Mani Deva Rishi Pitar Adhikera Kabhe Nahi Rini. Synonym Kama, material desire, Tyagi, giving up, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Bhaja, worship, Shastra, Gyan, the direction of the revealed scriptures, Mani, accepting, Deva, demigods, Rishi, the great sages, Pitta, Pitir, Adhikare, of the forefathers, and so on. Kabhu, at any time, Nahi, not Rini, the debtor. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If a person gives up all material desires and completely engages in the transcendental loving service of Krishna as enjoined in the revealed scriptures, he is never indebted to the demigod sages or forefathers. Hare Krishna.
So this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita shows, again, is saying the same thing that Krishna says. So what is this? Kama Tyaji, one who has given up his material desires, and Krishna Bhaje, one who is worshipping Krishna. And how is he worshipping Krishna? According to the injunctions of the Shastra. Then such a person is not Nahe Rini. He does not have any rin. He does not have any debt towards the Devatas, towards the Rishis, towards the Pitras, Adhikera, etc. So such a person is never indebted to demigods, sages, or forefathers. Why? Because when we give up material desires and we engage in the service of the Lord, then automatically we are pleasing all these different categories of people. We don't have to separately endeavor to please them. Just as how Prahlad, just on the strength of his purity, he was able to liberate 14 generations before him and 14 generations after him. A pure devotee, 100% pure devotee can liberate up to 100 generations before and after. So Sri Hari Radha Mataji, you, in the interest of time, we are not going to read every shloka with the synonyms, okay? So these things I will read, you only read the translation of the Bhagavad Gita, please.
Yes,
This is-
Mataji, yes.
Okay. So there is more evidence here. Sri Lord Chaitanya is talking to Sanatan Goswami and he says the same thing. If a person gives up material, is this the same? Here, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni is speaking this verse to Vasudev. Who is Vasudev?
Krishna himself.
Krishna himself. And Krishna's father is?
Yeah, Vasudev and Vasudev.
Vishnu.
His father, my man. Vasudev, his father.
So Vasudev is the father and Krishna's name is Vasudev. Okay, so
Yes,
if there is a line on top of A, then we pronounce it as Vasudev. So Vasudev is Krishna, but here Vasudev is Krishna's father. So Narada Muni is speaking this verse to Vasudev. And what is he saying? O king, one who has given up all material duties and taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who offers shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away. Why? Because all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. One who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons separately. Who is Mukunda?
Krishna.
Krishna. What does that name Mukunda mean?
The giver of liberation.
The giver of liberation. So this is Narada Muni speaking to Vasudeva. And then we have Sutta Goswami, who is speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya. And he also says the exact same thing. He says, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. So see the potency, the power of pure devotional service. Everything that is troublesome is destroyed. Sutta Goswami is saying. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Usually before we start a Bhagavatam class, this shloka is recited because this shloka is glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then look what he says next. He's saying that, and loving service unto personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Irrevocable fact. Once it's gone, it's gone. You cannot revoke it. It's like a transcendental mafia. You get into it by your own free will, but once you get into it, you cannot come out of it. It's irrevocable. So this is the potency of pure devotional service. Nothing is lost. And again here, can you identify the personalities on the screen? Who are these two personalities? He is from the Mahabharata, who left Hastinapur before the war.
Is it
Because-
Vidura?
Yes, Vidura, correct. So Vidura's spiritual master is
Vedvyas?
not Vedvyas.
Narad Muni.
No. Vidura left the palace before the war and then he visited many holy places and he took instruction from this rishi who became his spiritual master. His name starts with an M. Okay, Maitreya Rishi. Okay, so Vidura's guru's name is Maitreya. So what is Maitreya Rishi saying? This is actually Vidura saying to Maitreya Rishi because he is inquiring from him. And then he says, for one who's anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics. So see, it's very, very important to hear Shravanam and Kirtanam. No? Shravanam is the first of the 9 items of devotional service. We should hear from the right person. So when we hear, then what happens? Krishna Katha gradually increases his indifference towards all other things. So when we engage in the devotional service, and that too beginning with Shravanam, with hearing, then automatically we are getting detached. It increases the indifference towards all other things. So that happens by default. It happens automatically. We don't have to separately endeavor to develop detachment. So what is he saying next? Such constant remembrance of the lotus feet of of Lord Krishna by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss vanquishes all his miseries without delay. So the progress is very quick, very rapid. It happens without delay. So he uses the word asu. Asu means without delay. So such is the potency of hearing Krishna Katha that all the miseries will go away very quickly without delay. So this is Bhakti Yoga is actually taking you on the fast track. That's why you can attain perfection in this very lifetime, no more lifetimes. Otherwise, it would take so many lifetimes, no, to perfect yourself. In the previous yoga, we heard about how Valmiki, it took him 60,000 years to perfect his life. More evidence. Can you identify the personalities on the screen? Narada Muni. And he's talking to his disciple. Who's this person?
Any guesses?
Who composed the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Oh, Sukhdev Goswami?
No.
No, Vyasdev.
Vyasadev, yes. Sukadeva Goswami spoke it to Maharaj Parikshit, but Vyasadeva composed it. So what is he saying? That he's saying that one who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. Yet there is no danger of his being successful. So when we start off devotional service, sometimes when we are still beginning and we are still immature, we have not yet matured ourselves in devotional services. We may fall down sometimes, but still there is no danger of being unsuccessful. Why? Because once you have done it, it's recorded for eternity. Nothing is lost. And we are going to carry it life after life after life. So there is no danger of being unsuccessful. Surely success is guaranteed once you start off devotional service. Because once you begin devotional service, and even if you cannot perfect it in that lifetime, human life is guaranteed. There is no question of going back to animal bodies. Can you identify the personalities on the screen?
Kapil Dev and his mother.
Yes, Kapila, Devahuti. Devahuti is the mother, and there's a conversation between Lord Kapila. Lord Kapila is the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is also instructing in this chapter, if you see, he instructs his mother. But this sloka is spoken by Devahuti. So what is Devahuti saying? She's saying that how glorious are they whose tongues are chanting your holy name. So anybody who's chanting the holy name of the Lord is glorious, she says. Even if born in the families of dog eaters, such persons are worshipable. So see, we have to see the guna and the karma, the quality and the nature of a person, not just the birth. If one is born in the family of a dog eater also, he is worshipable if he chants the holy name. Persons who chant the holy name of your Lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. So one who's chanting the holy name is considered to have already done all kinds of tapasya, all kinds of yagyas, everything that a devotee should be doing, good manners of the Aryans, everything that person is considered that he has already done everything else. So that's why there is no need for a person who is engaged in devotional service, a person who is a self-realized soul, to be doing these other activities separately. To be chanting the holy name of your Lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. So just by chanting the holy name, it is considered that you have already taken a bath in all the holy places, in all the dhams. You have already studied all the Vedas. Everything else required to be done is considered to be done if you are chanting the holy name. Such is the potency of the chanting of the holy name. Okay, now let's go to 18. Let's see what Krishna says next.
नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो नाकृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः.
A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Hare Krishna.
So see, in the first part of the shloka, Krishna is saying a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of the prescribed duties. So first he's saying the exact same thing that he said in the previous verse, that a self-realized person there is no purpose for him to fulfill in doing his prescribed duties, which is he's saying a self-realized man does not have to do his prescribed duties. But now immediately Krishna is twisting his statement. Now what is he saying? Nor has he any reason not to perform such work. So now he's saying that there is no reason for him to do prescribed duties. And then he says there is no reason for him not to do his prescribed duties also. So here Krishna is twisting his statement in the very same shloka. You understand, right? He's saying there is no purpose for a self-realized soul to fulfill by doing his prescribed duties. And then he says, and nor is there any reason why he should not do his prescribed duties. Now, why? Krishna is going to explain further. Let's see. 19.
By
तस्मादसक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुषः.
Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. Hare Krishna.
So now Krishna is saying that you do your duty, one should act as a matter of duty without being attached to the fruits. Why? Because by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. But one may argue that if one is a self-realized soul, that means he has already attained the Supreme, even if he may be in a so-called material body, externally speaking. He may be in the material world, but because he's a self-realized soul, he has already attained the Supreme, right? So one may say that, then why should I do my duty? Because Krishna just said that a self-realized person does not have to do his prescribed duties. So let's see what Krishna says next.
कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि.
Kings such as Janaka attain perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Hare Krishna.
So what's the reason Krishna is saying that even though you don't have to do it, you still do it? Even though a self-realized soul does not have to do his prescribed duties, still such a person must do his prescribed duties. Why? For the sake of educating the people in general. For that sake, a self-realized soul must still, even though he does not have to do it, he still must do it to set an example, for the sake of educating the people in general. Because actions speak louder than words. If a self-realized soul preaches that you must do this, you must do your duty, a Kshatriya should fight, a Brahmana should educate, etc., but he himself is not doing it, then people will get confused. Because actions speak louder than words. To teach people, to teach children also, we don't have to actually tell them verbally. If we just do what we want our children to do or what we want to preach to others, if we do it, then they will just copy what you are doing. So for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work, Krishna is saying. And he's giving the example of Janak Maharaj. Who is Janak Maharaj?
King of Mithila.
He is the king of Mithila and he is the father of?
Ram.
Sita Mataji.
Sita, yes, he is the father of Sita from the Ramayana, isn't it? So actually Janak Maharaj is the only one Krishna is mentioning the name of a third party who, as an example, he wants to give, as a positive example Krishna wants to give in the Bhagavad Gita. Janak Maharaj is the only person that Krishna actually mentions. Of course, in the beginning of chapter 1, he mentions other names, the warriors on this side and that side, etc. But as somebody who's setting an example, Janak Maharaj is the only name that Krishna mentions. So he must really like Janak Maharaj. Okay, so Janak Maharaj also, now Janak Maharaj is a self-realized soul, but he also did his prescribed duties to educate the people in general. So Krishna is saying that even though you don't have to, you still do it in order to set the example. See, Janak Maharaj is one of the 12 Mahajans, the 12 greatest authorities on the science of God. Who are the 12 Mahajans? Can you identify? Who do we have here?
Brahma,
Lord
Narad,
Brahma here.
Shiva,
Here
Char
Shiva.
Kumar,
Wait,
Kapil
hold
Dev,
on. One at a time. Lord Brahma here.
Narad,
Narad here.
Shiva,
Lord Shiva here.
Char Kumaras,
The four
Here.
Kumaras.
The
The
four
four
Kumaras
Kumaras.
here.
Kapila,
Lord Kapila here.
Vyasdev.
No, Vyasadeva is not one of the 12 Mahajans.
Okay.
Who is he? The word man comes from his name.
Man, can you
The
repeat?
word man or the word Manushya.
Swayambhuva Manu.
Manu.
Swayam.
Manu.
Yes,
Swayambhuva Manu.
yes. Manu or Swayambhuva Manu. The word man or Manushya comes from his name because he was the first man on this planet. Then here,
Prahlad
Prahlad
Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Prahlad. Here,
Janak
Janak
Maharaj.
Janak.
Maharaj.
Here,
Bhishma Pitama.
Bhishma.
Bhishma.
Bhishma Dev. Here,
Bali Maharaj.
Bali
Bali
Maharaj.
Maharaj. Here,
Sukhdev Goswami,
Sukadeva Goswami. And here,
Yamraj.
Yamraj.
Yamaraj. So these 12 are the 12 Mahajans, the 12 authorities on the science of God. And how do we know these 12 names? These 12 names appear in the pastime of Ajamila. When when Yamaraj is instructing the Yamadutas, remember after this whole episode happened of the Vishnu Dutas also claiming the soul of Ajamila, then the Yamadutas go and have a conversation with their master, Yamaraj. And then Yamaraj mentions these 12 authorities in that conversation. So he says that Lord Brahma, Bhagwan Narada, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, Lord Kapila, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami, and I, because Yamaraj is the speaker of the verse, and he says, I myself know the real religious principle. My dear servants, this transcendental religious principle, which is known as Bhagawad Dharma, or surrender unto the Supreme Lord and love for him, is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is very confidential and difficult for ordinary human beings to understand. But if by chance one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated and thus he returns home back to Godhead. So this is spoken by Yamaraj. Yamaraj is Dharmaraj. No? He is in a position where he has to punish those entities who are not following the rules and regulations. So obviously he's a judge, and he has to know the real religious principles. So he's also one of the 12 Mahajans. So Janak Maharaj is one of the 12 Mahajans, and that's the name Krishna mentions here. Okay, next.
यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः तत्तदेवेतरो जनः स यत्प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तदनुवर्तते.
Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Hare Krishna.
So here Krishna is explaining again, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. This is why, see, previously people, when they had role models, their role models were actually religious people. People always looked at the king. Previously the kings were Raja Rishis. They were saintly kings. So the leaders, the kings or saintly people, they were the role models of the society. Great personalities like Vyasadeva, all these 12 people, you saw Bhishma Dev, Yudhishthir, these were all the role models of the society. So whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. Unfortunately now, who are the role models? The film stars, TV stars, sportsmen, all these people have become role models and people want to imitate them. Somebody wears torn jeans, then everybody wants to wear torn jeans. This is the kind of role models we have now in Kali Yuga, unfortunately. But Krishna is saying, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So for the sake of educating the people, one must perform karma yoga. One must perform his prescribed duties. Although you don't have to do it, you don't owe anyone because you're a self-realized soul, but still you do it because the whole world is going to follow what you are going to do. 22.
न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यम् त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यम् वर्त एव च कर्मणि.
O son of Partha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems. Now I am in want of anything, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. Hare Krishna.
See, previously Krishna gave the example of Janak Maharaj, and now he is giving himself as an example. Krishna is saying that there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems. What are the three planetary systems?
Bhurlok, Satalok, and this
Patalok.
Golok,
no. Patal Lok,
Patalok,
Mityulok,
Mrityulok.
and then what is it called? Is it called Bhurlok or something, or was it Brahmalok or something?
Here. Okay, the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. So Krishna is saying that in all the three planetary systems, there is no work prescribed for me. Nor am I in want of anything, because Krishna is completely satisfied. He's Atmaram. He's completely satisfied. So he does not want anything. He does not need anything. Nor have I a need to obtain, and neither is there any need for Krishna to obtain anything. And yet Krishna is saying, I am engaged in prescribed duties. So Krishna is giving himself as an example. Although Krishna does not have to do anything, still he says that he is engaged in prescribed duties. So Krishna also went to Gurukul. He received education. Who was his teacher in the Gurukula?
Sandipani Muni?
Yes, Sandipani Muni. Very nice. Also, when he received brahmanas, this is Sudama, but Krishna, of course, he received Sudama by washing his feet, but whenever he received any Brahman in his house, he would receive him by washing his feet, because Krishna was living as a Grihastha in Dwarka, and this is how a Grihastha should receive a Brahmana. So he would receive the Brahmanas by washing his feet. He also performed his duties as a son. He released his parents from the prison of Kamsa. He would bring his father's slippers, Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj will tell Krishna, where are my slippers? So Krishna would bring his slippers on his head and give it to his father. Now, one should not think that, oh, Krishna is only a baby, so he doesn't know what he's doing. Krishna, even when it appears that he's a baby, he's still the supreme personality of Godhead. He is still the supreme controller. It's not that he does not know what he's doing, because that's how Krishna was able to kill Putana as an infant. Now, one may argue that Krishna did some things which would not be ideal to set an example. Sometimes people would say, can you think of something that Krishna did which would probably not set an example for the others?
The Rasa dancer? The
Rasa Leela, the dancing with the
Yes.
gopis, isn't it? So people sometimes argue, but well, that is not something that is going to set an example. So how are we going to answer that?
It's transcendental activities.
Transcendental activities, okay? More perspectives?
Krishna would expand himself and he would dance with each gopi,
Yes.
and he would make each of them happy, but in the relation of the relation, how you say, between a devotee and God and the Lord.
Mhm. So what is, I mean, what would be your counter argument? If somebody said that, but Krishna is dancing Rasa Leela, I also want to do it because I'm going to imitate him. Krishna is saying that great personalities are imitated. So somebody wants to imitate the Rasa Leela and have many gopis to dance with, so to speak. What is going to be your counter argument? Okay, what are the 3 reasons that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita for his coming? Why does he come?
He comes to protect the religion, and he comes for to save his devotees and to annihilate his asurs, demons.
Yes.
And he comes for to give pleasure to his devotees.
He comes to give pleasure to his devotees. That is most crucial, isn't it? Pavitranaya sadhu nam. He comes to protect his devotees. Then vinashaya cha dushkritam. He comes to vanquish the demons. Dharma sansthapanarthaya. In order to re-establish the principles of religion. Out of these 3, the most important is the first one. He comes especially to give pleasure to his devotees. So when he is doing Rasa Leela, he is giving pleasure to those gopis who are actually pure devotees. Okay. And when Krishna did Rasa Leela, as Divya said, Krishna expanded himself. So every gopi is thinking that Krishna is dancing only with me. Now, why does Krishna do it? Because he wants to attract the conditioned souls also back home, back to Godhead. Because Krishna is Leela Purushottam. Now, Lord Ramachandra is Maryada Purushottam. So we say Maryada Purushottam Ram. He followed the principles to perfection. Now, Krishna is Leela Purushottam. He wants to attract the souls to him so that people get attracted to him and they can worship him. They can go to him. They can develop the desire to go to him and enjoy with him all these leelas in the spiritual world. So when he does these leelas, see, the leelas of Krishna are unparalleled. You will not find these leelas with any other incarnation. That's why Krishna's leelas, right from his appearance, even his birth, his appearance also is so dramatic. No, he was born in the jail, and then the guards of the jail, they went to sleep. The chains were broken. The river gave way, and then there was another Shisha. So dramatic, right from his appearance, his childhood, his infancy, then his youth. Everything is so dramatic about Krishna's life because by his leelas, which are unparalleled, he's attracting the souls. So he's especially coming for his devotees. Okay. So by these leelas, he's attracting his devotees. Now, Srila Prabhupada, if somebody told Srila Prabhupada that Krishna is doing Rasa Leela, so I also want to do Rasa Leela, Prabhupada would say Krishna also lifted the Govardhan hill, right? For 7 continuous days and 7 continuous nights. So first you lift the Govardhan hill, you first imitate that pastime, and then you can imitate the pastime of Krishna dancing with the gopis. We cannot do that. So we should not imitate. We have to follow the instructions of great personalities. Even Lord Shiva, no, sometimes not devotees, but pseudo devotees of Lord Shiva, they say that I will smoke ganja. I also want to drink somarasa like Lord Shiva. So Srila Prabhupada would say, first you drink the poison, because Lord Shiva also drank the poison from the ocean and he was able to hold the poison in his neck. First you try to drink poison, and if you're able to overcome that, then you try to drink somarasa like Lord Shiva. So we should not imitate great personalities. We should follow in their footsteps. So here we have what we just discussed. See, the constitutional position of every living entity is in one of the 5 rasas. There are 5 relationships or 5 mellows in which a devotee can connect to Krishna. 5 rasas, it's called. Shanta rasa, Dasya rasa, Sakhya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, and Madhurya rasa. One can be attracted to Krishna, one can connect to Krishna in the Shanta rasa, appreciation of the Lord's greatness. But in the neutral stage, there is no active service. Like, for example, one may be, Krishna may be enjoying the grass in Vrindavan. So the grass is actually connecting with Krishna in the Shanta Rasa, neutral stage. Then more intimate connection with Krishna is in the Dasya Ras. One is serving actively as a servant, like how Hanuman related to Lord Ramachandra in Dasya Ras. Then more intimate than Dasya Ras is Sakhya Ras, where one is relating to the Lord as a friend. So that example is Arjuna. There is more intimacy in Arjuna's relationship with Krishna than Hanuman's relationship with Lord Ramachandra. Right? A friend has more intimacy than the servant. Right? So like that, there is more intimacy in every rasa. As you go from 1 to 5, the intimacy increases. Then higher than Sakhya rasa is the Vatsalya rasa. Vatsalya rasa is where you relate as a parent. What Yashoda had with Krishna is in the Vatsalya rasa. There is more intimacy between the parent and the child than there is between friends. So that is Vatsalya rasa. And there is maximum intimacy when you relate to Krishna as a conjugal lover. So that is Srimati Radharani, that is all the gopis. There is more intimacy in Madhurya rasa than there is in Vatsalya rasa. Because one may be unappropriately dressed in front of your lover, but you cannot do that in front of your parent, right? So here there is maximum intimacy. So Krishna, to attract his devotees, performs pastimes in all 5 rasas. So when Krishna did the rasa dance, he did it in this Madhurya rasa. Why? Because he wants to attract all kinds of devotees. If somebody feels attracted to Krishna as a conjugal lover, then he will be more attracted to the Rasa Leela pastime of Krishna. If one connects to Krishna as a parent, then he will be more attracted to the Vatsalya Leelas of Krishna, like the Damodar Leela is in the Vatsalya Ras, like that. So Krishna is doing Leelas in all the 5 rasas in order to attract all kinds of devotees to him, because he is Leela Purushottam. Let us skip this. We'll keep that for the next class. Now let's go to the next shloka here.
यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः.
For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties of Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is giving the reason here why he does the prescribed duties even though he does not have to do it. Why? Because he's saying, if I fail to engage in performing prescribed duties, then all men would follow my path. So if Krishna does not do it, then people say, oh, Krishna didn't do it, so I will also not do it. So therefore, to set an example, Krishna is saying, I also do my prescribed duties. When Krishna was a grihastha, he maintained all his 16,108 wives in 16,108 palaces, in 16,108 expansions of Krishna. So it's not that one wife has to wait for 16,108 days to see her husband. So that is Krishna. So he can maintain 16,108 wives as a perfect grihastha, but we cannot do it, right? So therefore, Prabhupada would say nowadays you cannot maintain even one wife, one family. So don't think of maintaining more than one. You cannot even do that much. Krishna, when he had 16,108 wives, he knew how to maintain them in so many palaces and so many expansions.
उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोका न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहं शङ्करस्य च कर्तास्याम् उपहन्यामिमः प्रजाः.
If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is saying, if I did not perform prescribed duties, then the world would be put to ruination. Everything will be ruined. And he would be the cause of creating unwanted population. And therefore, he would destroy the peace of all living beings. Now, who remembers Arjuna's 4th reason not to fight the war?
Destruction of family.
Destruction of family traditions or creating unwanted population, Varna Shankara, isn't it? Arjuna said that if I kill all these great personalities, if I kill these leaders like Bhishma, Drona, and all our superiors, then all the family traditions will be destroyed. That will lead to people engaging in sinful activity. That will lead to Varna Shankara, unwanted population. That will create unwanted population means people who are children who are going to be born would be unwanted, because they are the kind of they would be the children who would not be following the rules and regulations, because the superiors have departed. No one who will teach, they have all departed. So it will lead to disturbance in the society. That was Arjuna's fourth reason, Varna Shankara, unwanted population, destruction of family traditions. Now Krishna is answering this particular question, this particular concern of Arjuna. What is he saying? There would be unwanted population by not performing prescribed duties. So he's telling Arjuna that if you do not perform your prescribed duties, if you do not fight this war as a Kshatriya, then there would be unwanted population. Why? Because people would take you as an example and say, even Arjuna did not do his duties, so therefore even I will not do my duty. So nobody would follow the rules and regulations, and therefore there would be ruination. Therefore there would be unwanted population. So here Krishna is counteracting Arjuna's fourth reason not to fight the war. He's telling him that there will be unwanted population, there would be ruination if you do not perform your prescribed duties, if you do not fight the war, and not if you fight the war, as Arjuna previously said. So we have already, Krishna has already counteracted 4 reasons in these particular verses. This last reason of indecision will be refuted in the 18th chapter, in the last chapter. So what have we seen so far? Krishna began by saying karma yoga is better than jnana yoga. You do karma, but with knowledge. So karma yoga is far superior, Krishna says, because you have to engage your senses anyway. So therefore do your duties. Then he says, if you are not qualified even for karma yoga, then practice karma kanda. That's where he talks about the cycle of yagyas and how we can please the devatas, and then the devatas will fulfill our necessities. So all that is karma kanda. So Krishna says, if you're not qualified for karma yoga, then practice karma kanda. Then Krishna says, if you are qualified for jnana yoga, still practice karma yoga to set the example. This is what we have just concluded. Now we'll go to the next section. Section 5, where Krishna is going to explain the difference between karma yoga and karma kanda.
सक्ताः कर्मण्य विद्वांसो यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्याद् विद्वांस तथा सक्तः चिकीर्षु लोकसंग्रहम्.
As the arrogant performs their duty with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. Hare Krishna.
So here Krishna is contrasting. He's saying the ignorant perform duties with attachment to the results, while on the other hand, the learned, they also perform their duties, but they perform the duties without attachment. Why they do the duties without attachment? For the sake of leading people on the right path. So there are 2 ways. There are 2, even in educational institutions, sometimes they have 2 study plans. The regular one and the fast track. If suppose they see a student who's brilliant in studies, they will probably give the child even a double promotion, no? Or they may have a fast track education program for somebody who's more intelligent, and they may have a regular program for those who are at the regular speed of studies or whatever, IQ or whatever. So like that, here also there are 2 tracks. Krishna is saying that the ignorant, they perform their duties with attachment to results. So that is the slow track program. On the other side, the fast track program is when you do your duties, but without attachment. But anyway, either way, both are going forward. Both are going forward. Because if you're doing your duties as per the Shastras, at least you're within the framework of Dharma. At least you're not doing sinful activities. At least you're not doing vikarma. Okay. So there are 2 tracks here. Krishna is talking about them, but both are going forward. Just as how if I want to go to the last floor of a 100-floor building and I choose to take the staircase, anyway, I am going to reach there because I am taking the staircase. I am going forward. Only thing is going to take me more time. But if I take the If I take the elevator, then I will reach there faster. So Bhakti Yoga is the elevator which is going to take you to the spiritual world at a much faster pace than any other yoga system. But at least if you're working within the framework of Shastra, you are moving forward.
न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
So as not to disturb the minds of arrogant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
See, Krishna, he's so merciful here. What is he saying? He's accommodating even those people who are not agreeing to his recommendation. So what is Krishna talking about here? He's talking about people who's of ignorant men. Because if somebody is spiritually uninformed, he's spiritually not educated. And somebody who is still attached to the fruitive results, somebody who's still materially attached. So somebody who's spiritually uninformed and materially attached, what about those categories of people? They are the ones who are not going to follow, or they don't want to take the advice that Krishna is giving. What is Krishna saying? That we should not induce them to stop work. A learned person, somebody who's a devotee, somebody who is not ignorant, somebody who is not attached, somebody who's learned, he should not induce these people to stop work. Why? Because what is he saying? For the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Because if we disturb them, then we will lose them forever. What we should do, rather what should we do? We should engage them in all sorts of activities by working in the spirit of devotion. So which means we encourage them in dovetailing whatever they are doing, however they are doing, in Krishna consciousness. That is intelligence. See, Srila Prabhupada was very, very expert in this. Actually, if you see, if somebody was very good at painting, Prabhupada would encourage the person, oh, you're a wonderful painter, why don't you paint this? So, like that. Let's say somebody is a very good guitar player, or somebody is very good at cooking. Then you can say, oh, you're very good at playing the guitar. Why don't you join us for the kirtan and help us playing the guitar in the kirtan? So like that, you're encouraging the person to do the work that he likes to do, that he loves to do, that he's passionate about, but you're dovetailing it in the service of the Lord by telling him that we need you at the kirtan. Please come and play for us at the kirtan. So like that, Krishna is saying, do not disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to fruitive results of prescribed duties. Do not disturb them. Do not disrupt their minds. If we tell the person, what is this nonsense are you doing with the guitar? So then you're going to lose the person forever. So Krishna is even encompassing people who are not agreeing to his instructions. He wants to take them in also, and he's giving instructions how we should deal with such people. So instead of discouraging them, we should engage them in all sorts of activities. Just encourage them to do whatever they like to do, appreciate them, and then use that in the service of the Lord. That is intelligence. See, standards are for inspiration, not for condemnation. We should not condemn somebody. Whatever talent they have, we can inspire them to use that positively in the service of the Lord. Break people's misconceptions. Don't break people. If we just tell somebody that this is nonsense, what are you doing? This is not going to take you anywhere, then it will break them. But we want to break their misconceptions. Don't be so concerned about others' future destination as to be cut off from their present emotion. See, at present, they are passionate about what they like to do. A guitar player is passionate about his guitar playing. So if we are going to be passionate, if we are going to just tell him that, no, your guitar playing will not take you back to the spiritual world. If you're just going to be so blunt, then we are we are not taking into consideration what he's emotionally attached to. We have to consider that as well. Spiritual success depends on stamina, not speed, So slowly, gradually, we can encourage people to engage in the service of the Lord, depending on the nature of the person, depending on what he likes to do. If we very quickly try to tell someone, or even if we ourselves, when we are beginning in our spiritual life, we say, okay, tomorrow onwards, I'm going to chant 16 rounds every day. But if we cannot maintain it, then we cannot progress nicely. We have to have stamina, every day determination, this number of fixed rounds, and then slowly we can increase our stamina. We can go from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, like that, come to 16. Not speed. Speed will not determine your spiritual success. It's the stamina. Know when to give others space and know when to give them pace. We have to give them space as well as we have to give them pace. Let's say we are trying to help someone in their spiritual life and somebody is stuck at chanting only one round for the past 20 years. Then we should try to give them some pace. But if we go too soon and without giving them space, then again, we will lose them, because again, we need stamina as well. If people don't walk in, don't slam the door on their face. People are not ready to take up to say, Krishna also, he says that if you are, Krishna also is encompassing people who are not agreeing to his instructions. So in the same way, we have to try to accommodate everyone at whatever level they are in. We have to, Krishna is talking about leveling people. You accept people at whatever stage, whatever level they are in. And from there, you try to take them ahead by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Don't just say that, oh, what you're doing is nonsense. This is no level at all. No, whatever level they may be at, accept them, accommodate them. And from there, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we can try to take them ahead. 27.
प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते.
The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are actually carried out by the three modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
So very important, actually, this subject matter Krishna will discuss more in detail in chapter 5. But see, what is Krishna talking about here? He's talking about the doer of activities. Who is the doer of activities? Who is responsible for any action? Krishna is saying the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities. So when somebody says that I'm a self-made man, this is what Krishna is talking about. By false ego, one thinks that he's the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So who is the doer of activities?
Krishna.
Krishna. Does Krishna, going by this shloka? So if Krishna is a doer of activities, somebody who is a murderer, say that I did not commit this murder. Krishna is the doer of activities. He made me commit this murder. So then?
He gives you a free will, no?
So who's the doer?
Oh, it's me then. I am the doer.
So then if I say I'm a self-made man, then who's the doer?
No, it's
I'm
the
a self-made man because of the mercy of Krishna.
So then Krishna is the doer? Who's the doer?
The doer is the three modes.
The three modes of material nature is the doer. So the material nature gives us something or denies us something based on what?
Desire.
Based on what we desire, we get. So I desire to live in a mansion and I desire my neighbor should live in a slum. That's my desire. So material nature will give it to me?
No, we also have to work. Once we desire something, a particular mode plays the role, put us in that desire, and then makes us work those kind of activities to fulfill those desires. And we are on the mercy of the Krishna's hand or Guru's hand, because that desire will only fulfill if we deserve it, if we work for it, if we do the karma for it. but that karma is being done by a particular three modes: tamo, rajas, and sattva.
Very nice. So who's the doer? Who is the doer is the question.
If we're working in tamogun, then the tamogun is the doer, right? The desire is the doer, the atma.
So the Atma that's us. So we are the doers.
No, the
Who is the doer? Who is
three
the doer
modes.
is the question.
The
The
three modes.
spirit soul,
In this material world, the only doer is only one in this material world, the material
Which-
planet. It's the three modes, right?
So the three modes are the doers, is what you're saying, right?
the
Yes,
spirit soul is the doer.
So the
The
spirit
spirit-
soul is the doer. Okay, wait. If the spirit soul is a doer, then what's wrong if I say that, okay, I want this, I want to live in a mansion, I want my neighbor to live in a slum, and I work towards, I play dirty politics and I say, okay, this is what I want. I'm going to work hard. I want to earn this mansion and I'm going to make sure my neighbor lives in a slum. So I'm the doer.
The
It's going to
spirit
be
soul is
fulfilled.
not the doer. The spirit soul only can desire. The only job of the spirit soul is to desire. So he cannot be a doer. Only the material modes can be doer because they're the one who's activated.
Okay, so if I commit a murder, I'll say the mode of material nature, tamo guna forced me, the mode of passion forced me to commit the murder. Material nature forced me to commit the murder. The rajoguna forced me to commit the murder. So it's not my fault.
It's our karma. It's our free will. It's our
Mataji,
desire.
So who's the doer?
I
Living
think
entity.
body is the doer.
No, living entity.
Living
The living
entity.
entity is the doer. So then again, same thing, right? I mean, if we say the living entity, the spirit soul, or we are the doers, then again I come back to that same example.
All
of the
three are the
mansion and the-
doers.
Now you're coming to the point. Very nice. 100 points. All three are the doers. Okay. All three are the doers. Which three?
The spirit
Living
soul,
entity,
The
super
living
soul,
entity,
super soul,
living entity, super soul, and
And the
and
material modes.
material nature.
material nature. Yes, very nice. Let us see how this works. See, it all begins with the living entity desiring. And then what happens? Material nature facilitates. So when we desire something, material nature will facilitate it to us. And the Paramatma or the Lord has to sanction it. Now, if I don't desire something, material nature will not facilitate it to me. And for material nature to facilitate it, the Lord has to sanction it. If the Lord does not sanction, material nature cannot facilitate. Material nature will facilitate only when the Lord can sanction. And the material nature will facilitate that which the living entity desires. So if somebody is committing a murder, material nature is giving the opportunity, facilitating it to commit the murder. And the Lord is sanctioning the action. But he cannot blame the Lord. He cannot blame material nature because it began because the living entity desired it in the first place. Okay. So he cannot say that. And if somebody says that I'm a self-made man, but he also has to understand that material nature facilitated it and the Lord has sanctioned it. That's why a person was able to be successful. Maybe somebody's a successful businessman or somebody is successful in becoming the president of the country or whatever, or he's the CEO of a big organization. The Lord has to sanction it. Without the Lord sanctioning, even a leaf cannot turn even to 5-degree angle. Now, living entity desires, that's the law of attraction. We have desires. We have to, what we have to do is we have to convert our material to spiritual desires. But anyway, so living entity desiring comes under the law of attraction. Now, material nature facilitates, that comes under the law of karma. We should also have the karmic backing for that desire to be fulfilled. If I have the desire to live in a mansion and I have a lot of punya karmas, so the material nature will facilitate. But if I don't have that kind of punya karmas to get a mansion, then material nature is not going to give me that facility. But of course, the Paramatma, he sanctions or he disapproves of whatever we want, depending, and that works on the law of love. because the Lord can override the law of karma and also the law of attraction. The Lord, when we surrender to the Lord out of love for those who have surrendered to him, he can override the other laws. He can override the law of karma. He can also override the law of attraction. I may desire a mansion. I may have the good karma to back it, but the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, out of his love, he knows that this is not good for my spiritual life because I may not be able to handle it. Therefore, he may say, even though you deserve it, even though you have the karmic backing, I will not give it to you. On the other hand, I may have the desire to have a mansion, but I want to use the mansion in the service of Krishna. Just as how we know George Harrison, he donated his mansion to ISKCON, and that is now a temple in the UK. So one may have the desire, I want the mansion, but even though I may not have the karmic backing for me to have that mansion, the Lord may still, out of love for his devotee, decide to sanction it. So actually all three are the doers: Paramatma, material nature, and living entity. The Jiva, Prakriti, and Paramatma. All three are the doers. So based on this statement from Bollywood that says, कहते हैं अगर किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उससे तुमसे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है. Translation: it is said that if you want something from your heart, then the whole universe tries to make it meet you. It's true or false? Is Bollywood giving you the right message?
True.
Huh? It's true? Okay. Anybody else wants to give their perspectives?
What does it mean? What he's saying? Kainat or whatever.
Kainat is material nature, the universe.
So he's saying that the only material nature gives us whatever we are needing. So that's false because Krishna does.
He's
Krishna,
saying that if you desire something, then material nature will give it to you. That's what he's saying here, right? If agar
that-
kisi cheez ko dil se chaho, so if you have that burning desire, then he's saying material nature will give it to you.
the statement is false because you just said right now that three of us makes it happen. And
Yes,
he's
it
just
is
saying that
false.
two of us makes it happen. So
Exactly,
it's false.
yes.
Jai Ho.
So material nature has much better things to do than to fulfill the desire, burning desire of all living entities. First of all, we have to have the karmic backing for it. And two, the Lord has to also sanction it. So this statement is false. Okay, it sounds very good, sounds very romantic, but it is false. It is not in tune with what Krishna says. So here you have, we living entities are under the control of material nature, but above material nature is the Supreme Lord himself. So he can override this. 28.
तत्त्ववित्तु महाबाहो गुणकर्म विभागयोः गुणागुणेषु वर्तन्त इति मत्वा न सज्जते.
One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty Arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sensing gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. Hare Krishna.
So here Krishna continues his contrast between karma kanda and karma yoga. And what is he saying here? One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, he does not engage himself in the in sense gratificatory activities because he knows the difference between work and devotion and work for fruitive results. Work and devotion is karma yoga, because yoga means, when the word yoga comes, means there is some desire to serve the Lord, to be one with the Lord, to be with the Lord. So work and devotion, karma yoga, and work for fruitive activities is karma kanda. So one who has knowledge, one who is knowledgeable, he knows the difference between these two, and he therefore does not engage himself in sense gratificatory activities, Krishna is saying.
प्रकृतेर्गुणसम्मूढाः सज्जन्ते गुणकर्मसु तान् कृत्स्नविदो मन्दान् कृत्स्नविन्न विचालये.
Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the arrogant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior to the due to the performance lack of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
So again, Krishna is talking about those who are bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant. They do not engage themselves in, they engage themselves in materialistic activities and they become attached. But now again, Krishna wants to encompass even those people who are ignorant, even those people who are not taking to his advice, those people who are still engaging in materialistic activities, those people who are still attached. What is Krishna saying? Do not unsettle them. The wise should not unsettle them. Do not disturb them. Krishna is saying, do not disturb them. Just let them be. Although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. So although they are engaging in inferior work, because they don't have the proper knowledge, Krishna is saying, do not disturb them. Do not unsettle them. So here we have a chart where we see the contrast between the attached worker and the detached worker. You can read this offline when we share the slides. We'll continue in the next class if Krishna so sanctions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Okay,
Sanam Mata ji ki jai, Jai Pataka Maharaj ki jai, Koti Koti Dandat Pranam Mata ji, Sri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you Mata ji, Koti Koti Dandat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Dhamma Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Sandra, you have a question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Hare
hear you.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, I have two questions actually. The
Yes.
first one is about self-realized soul. And could you explain better what is a self-realized soul? Because I was studying a little about that. And a part of the description that is given by Krishna it seems in another chapter seems like the one who realized its own divinity inside, no? So could you explain me better at this point what is a self-realized soul? And then I have another question.
Okay. So a self-realized soul means one who has realized the self. So what is the self? Self means we are the spirit soul. Yes. And what is a spirit soul? A spirit soul is nothing but eternally a servant of the Lord. Spirit soul is Atma and the Lord is Paramatma. So Atma is always inferior to the Paramatma. The soul is always inferior to the super soul. So when we self-realized soul is someone who realizes his position in contrast to the position of the Lord. A self-realized soul fully realizes and also acts on that principle that he is eternally a servant of the Lord. So we have to serve the Lord. A self-realized soul has no material desires. All his desires are aligned to the desires of the Lord. He only follows what the Atma, the soul only follows the instructions of the Paramatma. Does not act individually, does not act according to what he thinks or what he likes. His only desire is to please the Lord. So 100% pure devotee is a self-realized soul. A devotee who fully realizes that I am the servant of the Lord. So the only thing I have to do is serve the Lord. The only thing I need, just like a slave has to only please his master. The slave has nothing. Of course, now materially we have abolished slavery and all that things, but just to understand the concept, how a slave only works for his master, nothing else. So like that, a self-realized soul only works for the pleasure of the Lord, nothing else. That's a fully self-realized soul.
Perfect. And the second question was about this, the last part about the three gunas and who is the doer. So I was wondering when you say about Bollywood statement, I was wondering, thinking on the world, all these corporations, all these selfish behavior is not a contradiction in some way, because it feels like the universe is saying yes to them in some way, no?
Yeah, so the big corporations and the big industrialists, they are able to attain that kind of success because they have a good karmic balance in the from that they are carrying from the previous lifetime or lifetimes. One needs to have done a lot of good karma to be even able to take birth in the family of a rich industrialist, for example, or to attain that kind of success. Because if you go to see, there are many people who work as hard or probably even harder than a very successful industrialist. But success does not come to everyone. The person, the person who's working in a construction, he's working to construct a building, he's working far harder. He's putting in so much more hard work than somebody who's working in an air-conditioned office for 8 hours and he's receiving a lump sum salary as a manager in a big or in a big corporation. Yes. So hard work is something that many people put in, but success does not come to everyone. So it's not that the universe is coming to give you everything that you desire, because the person who's working really hard physically, but success is not coming to him because he's not got the karmic backing for it.
Excellent. In that way, my question comes. So, because you spoke about the law of love, and the law of love is saying that no, this is not appropriate for you. So I am trying to say, for those people who are hurting humanity with power, how is working the law of love there? Because it seems that the universe is saying yes, 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 go forward, go forward. So
yeah, so
I'm asking, I'm wondering how is the law of love working?
So the law of love works only for those people who have surrendered to the Lord.
Only for devotees.
Exactly,
okay.
Yes. Krishna will interfere with the law of karma only when we surrender to the Lord.
Okay.
Because we have to desire it. We want the Lord to help us. Sometimes the devotee is so helpless. No, he says, "My Lord." Like Arjuna was in such a bewildering situation, but when he surrendered to Krishna, then Krishna helped him. Krishna didn't help Arjuna before he surrendered, isn't it? Before Arjuna could say that, "Please instruct me," then only Krishna started to instruct him. Before that, Krishna did not instruct him. So only when we surrender to the Lord, then the law of love comes into action.
Okay, this is perfectly clear now. So only if we are devotees, we can aspire to the intervention of the law of love.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's only law of karma, action and reaction.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Saira. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Okay, what else do we need to discuss?
Mataji, I have a question here.
Yes.
That means a devotee who's chanting his daily 16 rounds or more than that, he surrenders to Krishna. He doesn't face any problems. His material, because I saw a reel of Prabhupada and he says if you chant your 16 rounds daily, all your material needs will be taken care of. But we see people, we see devotees also who suffer on material basis.
Yeah, so we have to understand that 16 first of all, just because somebody is chanting 16 rounds, not necessary that he has surrendered. Surrender is something, it's a lifetime process. If one is chanting 16 rounds, that doesn't mean that one is fully surrendered. Now, how are you chanting? What is your mentality? What is the quality of your chanting? All that also comes into place. What have you really surrendered emotionally, mentally when you're chanting? All that also comes into play. Now, coming to material problems, Even the Pandavas, they were personal friends of Krishna. They had a personal association of Krishna. Krishna was personally present on the planet. But even the Pandavas had so many problems, isn't it? They were, the Kauravas tried to kill them in so many ways. The wax house was burned. They had to go to the forest. They were denied of their share of the property. They were denied the kingdom. Then they had their wife, Draupadi, was insulted. They have also gone through so many problems. So it's not that a devotee will not have problems. The devotee knows how to deal with the problems. A devotee is not hassled by the problems. That's what that statement means. You know
Okay.
how to deal with it. It does not trouble you. It's not, see, when a devotee goes through problems, he will not go into depression. But when a materialist goes through these problems, then he will go into a depression because he does not know how to deal with the problems. So a devotee, although there may be material problems, like even Prahlad had, if you see externally speaking, he went through so many problems, so many ways. Hiranyakashipu tried to kill him. But was Prahlad hassled? He always had a smile on his face, isn't it? So a devotee is not hassled by the problems. He knows how to deal with it. He's still in a happy state of mind despite the problems. That is what that statement means.
Okay. Thank
Does
you.
not mean that you will not have problems.
Okay. Thank you.
What else do we need to discuss?
The next week we will be finishing our third class. I mean the third chapter.
Let's see. I hope to finish it.
Mataji, Hare Krishna, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Can you
Krishna.
please give a 2-minute for Shishi Radha Ashtami is coming, so everybody will understand?
Yes, Srimati Radharani's appearance day is in approximately 2 weeks from now. Srila Prabhupada said that the real festival, the real important festival is Radhashtami. It's even more important than Janmashtami because Srila Prabhupada said that Janmashtami is only an indication that Radhashtami is coming. So prepare yourself for the festival. So Krishna is Madana Mohana. He is the attractor of thousands of cupids. But Srimati Radharani is Madana Mohana Mohini. She is that personality who attracts the attractor of thousands of cupids. Srimati Radharani is, one of her names is Sarva Lakshmi. All the Lakshmis, all the Mahalakshmis, all the gopis of Vrindavan, all the queens of Dwarka, they are all coming from Srimati Radharani. That's why her name is Sarva Lakshmi. All the Lakshmis of Vaikuntha, they are all coming from her. So I request you to please attend the festival. Now, see, it's important to attend the festivals in a good mood, with a service attitude. Go to the temple, ask for services. Why? Because, see, let's say our friend invites us for a birthday party. We like to go for the birthday party so that the friend is not offended, isn't it? So when we have these festivals, when we have Srila Prabhupada's appearance, when we have Janmashtami, Radhashtami, Balaram Purnima, we must try our best to go to the temple, attend these festivals in order to express our gratitude to them. And also engage in services, even if it is for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, even if it's for a short period of time, doesn't matter, but do some service to express your gratitude, because we are getting so much knowledge, we are getting so much mercy from the Lord. The least we can do is go to the temple and be a part of their birthday celebrations, just for our own purification. It's not that the Lord needs it. He does not need anything. He's fully satisfied. He's Atmanam. But for our own purification, it's important that we can go and participate in these festivals. We're always ready to go to a party. We're always ready to go for a birthday. But then what about the birthday of the Lord? What about the birthday of Srimati Radharani? What about the birthday of Srila Prabhupada? We also have to participate in these festivals, be a part of it. So yes, please try and attend the appearance day of Srimati Radharani in your local temples. If you cannot make it to the temple for whatever reason, if you can't do that, then try to celebrate in your homes as much as you can. But please do put in the effort. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss? All right, then on that note, we'll come to the end of today's session. Thank you all very much for joining. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vevacha Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Bhagavad Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. माता जी, श्रीनाम माता जी की जय, जय पताका महाराज की जय, श्री श्री भागवत गीता की जय। थैंक यू माता जी, कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्णा, प्रणाम माता जी।
Thank you. Hare Krishna.